Hi, welcome back to Family Secret TV. News stories ready. Watch till the end. The lawyer slid the DNA results across the mahogany table. 3 envelopes. 3 names. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely open mine. Across from me sat my father, Richard Castellano. 62 years old. Real estate mogul. The man who'd spent 30 years reminding me I should be grateful he took me in. To his right, my brother, Dominic. 33. His golden boy. The heir to everything. To his left, my sister, Victoria. 31. Daddy's princess. The one who'd seated me with the catering staff at her wedding. We all opened our envelopes at the same time. I read mine once. Twice. 3 times. The numbers didn't change. Probability of biological relationship to Richard Castellano, 99.9%. I looked up at my father. His face had gone completely white. I looked at Dominic. He was staring at his results like they were written in a foreign language. I looked at Victoria. She'd started crying. Because their results said something different. Probability of biological relationship to Richard Castellano, 0%. The lawyer cleared his throat. Miss Castellano, he said, addressing me. According to these results and the terms of your grandfather's will, you are the sole biological heir to the Castellano estate. My father's voice came out strangled. That's impossible. The lawyer continued as if he hadn't spoken. Your mother, Elena Castellano, left a sealed letter to be opened only after DNA confirmation. Would you like me to read it now? I nodded. I couldn't speak. The lawyer opened a cream envelope with my mother's handwriting on the front. And everything I thought I knew about my family shattered like glass. My name is Sophie Castellano. I'm 35 years old. And until 6 months ago, I believed I was the adopted daughter in a family that had done me a favor by taking me in. Turns out, I was the only real daughter they had. Let me start from the beginning. I grew up in Westchester County, New York. Money. Big houses. Private schools. The kind of place where your last name mattered more than your character. The Castellanos were old money. Real estate development. My grandfather, Antonio Castellano, had built half of White Plains in the 1960s. By the time I was born, the family portfolio was worth over $200 million. My father, Richard, ran the business. My mother, Elena, was the perfect society wife. Charity galas. Country club luncheons. The kind of woman who wore pearls to breakfast. And then there were the children. Dominic. The heir. 3 years older than me. Star athlete. Princeton graduate. Everything a Castellano son should be. Victoria. The princess. 2 years older than me. Beautiful. Charming. Married to a hedge fund manager at 29. And me. Sophie. The charity case. I learned I was adopted when I was 7 years old. Not from my parents. From Victoria. We were playing in the backyard. She was 9. I was 7. Dominic was 10. I'd accidentally knocked over her dollhouse. She'd screamed at me. You're not even really my sister. Mom and Dad only took you in because they felt sorry for you. I'd run inside crying. Found my mother in the kitchen. Mom, is it true? Am I adopted? She'd gone very still. Then she'd knelt down and taken my hands. Yes, sweetheart. You are. But that doesn't mean we love you any less. Where did I come from? Your birth mother couldn't take care of you. We gave you a home. You should be grateful. That word. Grateful. It would follow me for the next 28 years. My childhood was a masterclass in subtle exclusion. I wasn't abused. Not in any obvious way. I was fed. Clothed. Given a bedroom in the house. But I was different. Dominic and Victoria got trust funds at 18. I didn't. They got new cars for their 16th birthdays. I got a used Honda with 100,000 miles. They went to private schools. I went to public school. When I asked why, my father said, "We've already given you so much, Sophie. We have to be fair to our biological children too." Fair. As if love was a limited resource that had to be rationed. The differences were everywhere once I started looking. Family photos in the hallway. Dozens of Dominic and Victoria as babies, toddlers, children. 3 photos of me. All from age 7 onward. Christmas presents. Dominic got a laptop. Victoria got jewelry. I got books from the clearance section at Barnes & Noble. My mother's explanation: we're teaching you the value of gratitude. College applications: Dominic went to Princeton. Victoria went to Georgetown. Both fully paid. I went to community college. Paid for with student loans. Because, as my father said, we've done enough. It's time you learned to stand on your own. I was 18 years old. And I believed them. I believed I was lucky to have a roof over my head. I believed I should be grateful for the scraps. I believed I didn't deserve more. My mother was different when we were alone. She'd seek me out. Late at night. When everyone else was asleep. She'd sit on the edge of my bed and stroke my hair. "You're special, Sophie," she'd whisper. "You have no idea how special you are." I never understood what she meant. But I'd hold on to those moments like lifelines. Because they were the only times I felt like I mattered. When I was 23, I graduated from community college with an associate degree in business administration. I'd worked full-time while going to school. Paid my own tuition. Lived in a studio apartment in Yonkers. My family came to the graduation. Sat in the back row. Left before the reception. My father's parting words: "Well, Sophie, you've proven you can finish something. That's good." No celebration dinner. No congratulations. No acknowledgement that I'd done it entirely on my own. Dominic had graduated from Princeton the year before. They'd thrown him a party at the country club. 200 guests. Live band. Champagne. I'd served hors d'oeuvres at that party. Because I'd needed the money. I started working at Castellano Properties when I was 24. My father hired me as a receptionist. Salary: $32,000 a year. Dominic worked there too. As vice president of development. Salary: $250,000, plus bonuses. We both started the same year. He got an office on the executive floor. I got a desk in the lobby. But here's the thing about being invisible. You see everything. I watched how the company operated. How deals were made. How relationships were built. I learned the names of every contractor, every investor, every city official who walked through those doors. I learned how to read people. How to anticipate needs. How to solve problems before they became crises. And I discovered I was good at it. Really good. When I was 27, I noticed something wrong with a contract. A development deal in Tarrytown. $12 million. Dominic's project. I was filing paperwork when I saw it. A discrepancy in the zoning permits. The property was zoned residential. The contract assumed commercial. If the deal went through, the company would be liable for massive fines. I brought it to Dominic's attention. He barely looked up from his phone. "Sophie, I don't have time for this. Just file it." "But if the zoning is wrong," I said, "file it." I went to my father instead. Showed him the documents. He studied them for 30 seconds. Then he called the development team. The deal was restructured. The company saved $4 million in potential penalties. My father's response: "Good eye, Sophie. Now get back to your desk." No bonus. No promotion. No recognition. Dominic got credit for catching the error. Before we continue, please subscribe to Family Secret TV and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I see everything, and your support means the world to me. Thank you. My mother got sick when I was 29. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctors gave her 6 months. She lasted 8. During those 8 months, I was the one who took her to appointments. Not Victoria, who lived 20 minutes away. Not Dominic, who worked in the same building as the hospital. Me. I'd drive up from Yonkers 3 times a week. Sit with her during chemo. Hold her hand when the pain got bad. My father was always too busy. Important meetings. Critical deals. Victoria came once a month. Stayed for 20 minutes. Cried perfectly and left. Dominic sent flowers. 3 weeks before she died, my mother asked me to come alone. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The hospice room was quiet. Sunlight filtered through thin curtains. "Sophie." Her voice was barely a whisper. "I need to tell you something." I leaned closer. "I'm so sorry." "Mom, you don't need to apologize for anything." "Yes." Her grip on my hand tightened. "I do. For everything. For how Richard treated you. For how the children treated you. For letting it happen. You gave me a home. She started crying. Sophie, you don't understand. It's okay, Mom. I'm okay. No, you're not. And it's my fault. She reached for something on the bedside table. A small key. Brass. Old-fashioned. My safety deposit box. Bank of America. White Plains. Box 317. She pressed it into my palm. After I'm gone. Not before. Wait until after. Mom, what is this? The truth. Her eyes were fierce despite the morphine haze. Everything they told you was a lie, Sophie. Everything. I don't understand. You will. She closed her eyes. Promise me you'll wait. Promise me you'll be strong enough. I promise. She died 3 weeks later. I was holding her hand. The funeral was enormous. 400 people. St. Joseph's Cathedral. String quartet. White roses everywhere. My father gave a eulogy about Elena's grace, her beauty, her devotion to family. He didn't cry. Victoria sobbed dramatically in the front row. Her husband patted her shoulder. Dominic stared straight ahead. Stoic. The strong son. I sat in the back. Because that's where I always sat. After the burial, everyone gathered at the Castellano estate for the reception. Catered by the best restaurant in Westchester. Open bar. Pianist playing Chopin. I stood in the corner near the kitchen. A cousin I'd met twice asked if I was with the catering company. The will reading was scheduled for 1 week after the funeral. Leonard Finch, the family attorney, had been handling Castellano business for 40 years. We gathered in his office in downtown White Plains. Leather chairs. Mahogany desk. Walls lined with law books that probably hadn't been opened since 1980. My father sat at the head of the table. Dominic to his right. Victoria to his left. I sat at the far end. Leonard cleared his throat and began reading. I, Elena Marie Castellano, being of sound mind and body, do hereby. The preliminaries were standard. Then came the bequests. To my beloved husband, Richard, my personal effects and jewelry. To my daughter, Victoria, my art collection, valued at approximately $1 million. To my son, Dominic, my shares in Castellano properties, representing 15% of the company. I waited for my name. And to Sophie Castellano, I leave my love and the hope that one day she'll understand. That was it. No money. No property. No shares. Just hope. Victoria actually laughed. Oh, Sophie. I'm sorry. That must be disappointing. My father said nothing. Dominic checked his phone. Leonard Finch looked uncomfortable. I excused myself. Went to the bathroom. Locked the door. And finally let myself cry. I went to the bank 3 days later. Bank of America. White Plains branch. Tuesday afternoon. The safety deposit room was small and cold. Fluorescent lights. Metal boxes lining the walls. Box 317. The attendant used the bank's key and my mother's key. The box slid out. Inside, a manila envelope. Thick. Sealed with red wax. And a handwritten note on top. Sophie, open this with a lawyer present. Trust no one in the family. I'm sorry I wasn't braver while I was alive. I love you. I've always loved you. Mom. I called Leonard Finch from the parking lot. Told him I had documents from my mother. Asked if he could review them. He agreed to meet me the next day. But something in his voice made me hesitate. Leonard Finch had been the Castellano family attorney for 40 years. His loyalty was to my father. Not to me. I needed someone else. I found Rebecca Huang through a Google search. Attorney at law. Specializing in family law and estate disputes. Her office was in a modest building in Tarrytown. No mahogany. No leather. Just clean, functional space. I showed her my mother's note. She read it twice. Then she looked at me. Miss Castellano, whatever is in that envelope, your mother clearly believed it would be contested by your family. I should be present when you open it. Can we do it now? Rebecca nodded. She put on reading glasses. I broke the wax seal. Inside the envelope. A birth certificate. Mine. Issued in New York. Mother, Elena Marie Castellano. Father, Richard Castellano. Not adopted. Biological. A hospital bracelet. Presbyterian Hospital. Baby girl Castellano. July 15th, 1989. My birth date. A handwritten letter. My mother's writing. Dated 6 months before her diagnosis. And a second envelope marked, open only after DNA confirmation. Rebecca read the birth certificate. Then she looked at me. Miss Castellano, this document indicates you're Richard Castellano's biological daughter. That's impossible. I'm adopted. They told me. What did they tell you exactly? I tried to remember. Victoria said it first. When I was 7. Then my mother confirmed it. But she paused. She never actually used the word adopted. What did she say? Your birth mother couldn't take care of you. We gave you a home. Rebecca was quiet for a long moment. Miss Castellano, I think you need to read your mother's letter. I unfolded the pages with trembling hands. My dearest Sophie, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I can finally tell you the truth I was too afraid to speak while I was alive. You are not adopted. You are my daughter. My biological daughter. Mine and Richard's. You were born on July 15th, 1989. I held you in my arms at Presbyterian Hospital. You had my eyes and Richard's nose and the tiniest fingers I'd ever seen. You were perfect. But Richard didn't want you. Because you were a girl. He'd wanted a son. An heir. Someone to carry on the Castellano name and business. When the doctor told him you were female, his face went cold. He left the hospital. Didn't come back for 3 days. When he finally returned, he brought Dominic and Victoria with him. 2 children he'd been having an affair with his secretary, Diane Porter. They were 3 and 2 years old. The affair had been going on for 4 years. Diane had died in a car accident 2 weeks before you were born. Richard said the children needed a mother. I was devastated. Humiliated. But I was also trapped. I had no money of my own. No career. No family support. So I agreed to raise his mistress's children as my own. In exchange, he agreed to let me keep you. But there was a condition. Richard made me promise to tell you that you were adopted. To raise you as the outsider. To ensure you never threatened Dominic's inheritance. He said if I didn't agree, he'd send you away. To foster care. Or distant relatives. Somewhere I'd never see you again. I was 26 years old. I didn't know what to do. So I agreed. And I've regretted it every day since. Sophie, Dominic, and Victoria are not Castellanos by blood. You are. Your grandfather Antonio never knew the truth. He died believing Dominic was Richard's biological son. His will leaves everything to Richard's biological heirs. That's you, Sophie. Only you. I've left proof with Leonard Finch, but I don't trust him to act in your interest. He's too close to Richard. If you want the truth recognized, you'll need to demand DNA testing. I'm so sorry I wasn't strong enough to tell you while I was alive. I'm sorry I let them treat you like you didn't belong. You've always belonged. You're the only one who truly does. I love you more than you'll ever know. Mom. I read it 3 times. Rebecca sat quietly, waiting. Finally, I looked up. This means... I couldn't finish the sentence. This means you're the sole biological heir to your grandfather's estate. And, depending on the terms of his will, that could change everything. How much is everything? Rebecca pulled out her phone. Started searching. Antonio Castellano's estate was valued at approximately $240 million when he died in 2003. With growth and development over the past 20 years, she looked up. Probably close to $400 million now. I couldn't breathe. But I need proof. Rebecca nodded. You need DNA tests. You, your father, Dominic, and Victoria. And if the tests prove what my mother claimed? Then we petition the probate court to reopen your grandfather's estate distribution. You'd be entitled to everything designated for biological heirs. What about Dominic and Victoria? If they're not Richard's biological children. Rebecca's voice was gentle. They'd have no legal claim to the Castellano inheritance. I thought about it for 3 days. Dominic had spent his entire life believing he was the Castellano heir. Victoria had built her identity around being a Castellano princess. If I did this, I would destroy them. But then I remembered. Every Christmas, where I got clearance books while they got trust funds. Every family photo I wasn't in. Every time someone asked if I was the help. Victoria seating me with the catering staff at her wedding. Dominic taking credit for my work. My father telling me I should be grateful. They'd spent 35 years treating me like I didn't belong. Turns out, they were the ones who didn't belong. Rebecca filed a petition with the Westchester County Probate Court. Request to reopen the estate of Antonio Castellano. Grounds: newly discovered evidence regarding biological heirs. The court granted the petition and ordered DNA testing for all parties. My father received the notice on a Friday afternoon. He called me 20 minutes later. "What the hell is this, Sophie?" "It's a court order for DNA testing." "I can read." His voice was ice. "Why?" "Because I want to know the truth." "The truth about what?" "About who I really am." There was a long silence. Then, "You're making a very big mistake." He hung up. Dominic called next. "Sophie, what are you doing?" "Following Mom's instructions." "What instructions?" "She left me a letter. With information about the family." "What kind of information?" "You'll find out when we get the test results." "This is insane." "You're trying to." "I'm trying to find out the truth. If you have nothing to hide, the test will prove that." He hung up without saying goodbye. Victoria's call came last. She was crying. "Sophie, please. Please don't do this." "Do what?" "Whatever you're planning. I know you're angry about the will, but this isn't about the will." "Then what is it about?" I paused. "It's about 35 years of being told I should be grateful for scraps." Her voice turned cold. "We gave you everything." "No. You gave me nothing. And you made sure I knew it. If you're still with me on this journey, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Your support means everything to me, and I promise the best part of this story is still coming." The DNA tests were scheduled for Monday, March 18, 2024. Court-appointed lab. Independent technician. No room for tampering. We all arrived separately. I got there first. 8:30 in the morning. Victoria arrived at 8:45. She looked like she'd been crying for days. Dominic arrived at 9. His jaw was tight. He wouldn't look at me. My father arrived at 9:15. He sat as far from me as possible. The technician called us in one at a time. Cheek swab. 3 samples each. The whole thing took 5 minutes. Results would be available in 7 to 10 business days. I didn't sleep for the next 2 weeks. Rebecca called on April 2nd. "The results are in. Can you come to my office?" "I'll be there in an hour." "Sophie." Her voice was careful. "You should prepare yourself." "For what?" "For the possibility that everything you believed about your family is about to change." That's how I ended up in Leonard Finch's office on April 3, 2024. Sitting across from my father, Dominic, and Victoria. The lawyer sliding DNA results across the table. 3 envelopes. 3 names. I open mine with shaking hands. Test subject: Sophie Marie Castellano. Alleged father: Richard Anthony Castellano. Probability of biological relationship: 99.9%. Conclusion: Richard Anthony Castellano cannot be excluded as the biological father of Sophie Marie Castellano. I looked at my father. His envelope was open. His face was white. I looked at Dominic. He was reading his results over and over, like the words would change if he stared long enough. I looked at Victoria. She was crying silently. The lawyer cleared his throat. "Miss Castellano," he said, addressing me. "According to these results and the terms of your grandfather Antonio Castellano's will, you are the sole biological heir to the Castellano estate." My father's voice came out strangled. "That's impossible." The lawyer continued. "Your mother, Elena Castellano, left a sealed letter to be opened only after DNA confirmation. Would you like me to read it now?" I nodded. The lawyer opened the cream envelope. It was my mother's letter. The same one I'd already read. But hearing it read aloud, in front of my father, in front of Dominic and Victoria, was different. "You are not adopted. You are my daughter. Mine and Richard's." Victoria made a choking sound. "Richard made me promise to tell you that you were adopted. To raise you as the outsider. To ensure you never threatened Dominic's inheritance." My father stood up. "That's enough. Sir, I'm required by law to." I said that's enough. The lawyer set down the letter. Mr. Castellano, perhaps we should discuss this privately. There's nothing to discuss. My father's voice was shaking with rage. This is Elena's revenge. She's trying to destroy this family from beyond the grave. She's telling the truth. I stood up too. And you know it. Dominic finally spoke. His voice was hollow. So I'm not. He couldn't finish. You're not a Castellano, I said quietly. Neither is Victoria. His face crumpled. Victoria was sobbing openly now. This can't be happening. This can't be real. My father turned on me. You did this. You poisoned her against us. You manipulated her while she was dying. I did nothing. Mom left me the truth because she knew you'd never tell it. I gave you everything. You gave me nothing. I was shouting now. You made me believe I was adopted. You let them treat me like I was less than. You paid me $32,000 a year while Dominic made $250,000. You let Victoria seat me with the catering staff at her wedding. Because you were never supposed to matter. The words hung in the air like poison. My father realized what he'd said. But it was too late. The lawyer cleared his throat. Perhaps we should reconvene when emotions have settled. No. I looked at my father. We're finishing this now. I turned to the lawyer. What happens next? The lawyer consulted his notes. Antonio Castellanos will specifies that his estate should be distributed equally among his biological heirs. At the time of his death in 2003, he believed those heirs to be Richard, Dominic, and Victoria. But now we know that I'm the only biological heir. Correct. So what does that mean? The lawyer took a deep breath. It means the estate distribution was made in error. The court can order a redistribution of assets to reflect the correct beneficiaries. How long will that take? Could be months. Could be years. It depends on how contested the case becomes. My father leaned forward. You'll never win this. I'll fight you every step of the way. Then you'll lose. I kept my voice steady. Because the truth is on my side. I'll destroy you first. You already tried. For 35 years. I'm still here. Dominic stood abruptly. I need to leave. He walked out without looking at anyone. Victoria followed, still crying. My father stayed. He stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. You're just like your mother. Weak. Vindictive. No, I said. I'm exactly like her. Strong enough to protect the truth even when it hurt. He left without another word. I sat alone in the conference room with the lawyer. He packed up his papers slowly. Miss Castellano, for what it's worth, I think your mother was very brave. She was terrified. Sometimes that's the same thing. He paused at the door. This is going to get ugly. Your father will hire the best attorneys money can buy. They'll try to prove your mother was coerced, that the letter is fabricated, that the DNA tests were tampered with. Let them try. He nodded. Leonard Finch gave me something else. He pulled a small envelope from his briefcase. Your mother left this with me 30 years ago, with instructions to give it to you if her letter was ever read. What is it? A video. Recorded in 1994. She wanted you to hear her story in her own words. I watched the video that night, alone in my apartment. My mother appeared on screen. Young, 29 years old, sitting in what looked like a lawyer's office. My name is Elena Marie Castellano, she said. Today is March 3rd, 1994. I'm recording this as insurance. She took a breath. My daughter Sophie is 4 years old. She doesn't know yet that she's being raised as an outsider in her own family. She doesn't know that the children she calls her brother and sister aren't related to her at all. She doesn't know that her father made me choose between keeping her and telling her the truth. I chose to keep her. But I'm leaving this record so that one day, if she needs it, she'll have proof. My mother looked directly into the camera. Sophie, if you're watching this, it means I'm gone. And it means you've found the strength I never had. I'm sorry I wasn't braver. But I hope this helps you be brave enough for both of us. The video ended. I sat in the dark for a long time. The legal battle took 8 months. My father's attorneys argued that my mother had been coerced. That the letter was written under duress. That I'd manipulated her during her final illness. Rebecca countered with the 1994 video. The DNA results. Hospital records from 1989. testimony from nurses who remembered my birth. The judge reviewed everything. And on December 12, 2024, she issued her ruling. I, Judge Patricia Moreno, hereby order the redistribution of the Antonio Castellano estate. Sophie Marie Castellano is confirmed as the sole biological heir. All assets currently distributed to Dominic Richard Castellano and Victoria and Castellano are to be returned and redistributed according to the original will's intent. This includes Castellano Properties shares, currently valued at $180 million. Real estate holdings, $95 million. Investment portfolios, $72 million. The family estate in Westchester, $22 million. Personal property and assets, $8 million. Total estate value, approximately $377 million. Sophie Marie Castellano is entitled to the full amount as sole biological heir. I didn't celebrate. I sat in Rebecca's office and stared at the paperwork. This doesn't feel like winning, I said. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. That's because you're not cruel. Cruel people celebrate other people's pain. I just wanted them to acknowledge me. And now they have to. My father called 2 weeks after the ruling. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Sophie. His voice was different. Smaller. I need to talk to you. We don't have anything to discuss. Please. Just please. We met at a diner in White Plains. Neutral territory. Public place. He looked older. Grayer. Tired in a way I'd never seen before. He ordered coffee. Didn't touch it. I was wrong, he said finally. About what? Everything. How I treated you. What I told you. What I let them tell you. He stared at his untouched coffee. When Elena got pregnant with you, I panicked. I'd been having an affair with Diane for 4 years. I had 2 children with her. And suddenly my wife was pregnant. I didn't know what to do. So I convinced myself the affair children were the legitimate ones. That you were the mistake. And when Diane died, it seemed like fate. A chance to have the family I'd chosen instead of the one I was stuck with. He looked up at me. I told myself I was protecting Dominic's future. But really, I was just protecting my own lie. I didn't say anything for a long time. Then, you made me believe I was worthless. I know. You let them treat me like I didn't belong. I know. You stole 35 years from me. His eyes filled with tears. I know. And I can never give them back. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. This is my resignation from Castellano Properties. Effective immediately. You're giving up the company? It was never mine to begin with. It was your grandfather's. And now it's yours. He slid the envelope across the table. I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I see you now. Finally. I see who you've always been. And I'm sorry it took losing everything to open my eyes. I took the envelope. Didn't open it. I'm not doing this for revenge, I said quietly. I'm doing this for the little girl who believed she wasn't good enough. I understand. And I'm not going to be cruel to Dominic and Victoria. They didn't know. They didn't. He paused. But they also didn't question. They accepted the version of reality that benefited them and never asked if it was true. I stood to leave. My father stood too. Sophie. One more thing. I waited. Your mother loved you more than anything in this world. Everything she did, even the lies, she did to protect you. I know. I hope one day you can forgive her. I already have. I met with Dominic and Victoria separately. Dominic was living in a rental in Stamford. His wife had filed for divorce. We sat in his nearly empty living room. I'm not taking your house, I said. Or your personal savings. The court ruling only applies to the Castellano estate. He nodded numbly. But you're losing the company shares. The inheritance. The family name. His voice was hollow. I know. I'm sorry it had to happen this way. He looked at me for the first time. Are you? Yes. I paused. You spent your whole life believing you were someone you're not. That's not your fault. But I treated you like you didn't matter. Yes, you did. He closed his eyes. I'm sorry. I should have asked questions. I should have treated you better. I should have. You should have. But you didn't. And we can't change that now. Victoria met me at a coffee shop in Larchmont. She looked thinner, fragile. Her husband had frozen their joint accounts, filed for separation. The Castellano name doesn't open doors anymore, she said bitterly. Turns out I was only valuable because of what I represented. I'm sorry. Are you? Her voice was sharp. You destroyed everything. I told the truth. There's a difference. She started crying. I don't know who I am anymore. My whole life, I was Victoria Castellano, the princess, the heir. And now I'm nothing. You're still you, I said gently. You just have to figure out who that is without the name. She wiped her eyes. I don't know how. Neither did I. But I figured it out. 6 months after the ruling, I restructured Castellano Properties, hired new leadership, diversified the portfolio, created a foundation for affordable housing development. My grandfather had built his fortune on real estate. I decided to use it to give people homes, not just buildings. I called it the Elena Castellano Foundation, after my mother, the woman who'd protected the truth even when it cost her everything. I still think about her. Late at night, when the penthouse is quiet and the city lights blur into stars, I think about the choice she made. To keep me, even if it meant lying about who I was. To protect me, even if it meant I'd grow up feeling like an outsider. To leave me the truth, even if it meant tearing the family apart. She wasn't perfect, but she was brave. And she taught me something I'll never forget. The truth is patient. It can wait decades. It can hide in safety deposit boxes and sealed letters and recorded videos. But eventually, it comes out. And when it does, everything changes. My name is Sophie Castellano. For 35 years, I was told I was the charity case, the adopted daughter, the one who should be grateful. Turns out, I was the only real heir they had. And they spent my entire life trying to erase me because I was a girl. Because I threatened their inheritance. Because acknowledging me meant acknowledging my father's lies. I didn't set out to destroy my family. I set out to find the truth. And the truth destroyed them all on its own. Because lies can only last so long. Eventually, DNA doesn't lie. Eventually, sealed letters get opened. Eventually, the child you dismissed becomes the woman who inherits everything you built your life on. If you're watching this, and you recognize yourself in my story, if you've ever been told you should be grateful for scraps, if you've ever been made to feel like you don't belong in your own family, if you've ever been dismissed, erased, or treated like you're less than, I want you to know something. Your worth is not determined by how other people treat you. Your value is not measured by their approval. And you don't need permission from people who never saw you to finally see yourself. The truth is already inside you. Sometimes you just need to be brave enough to demand that other people acknowledge it too. My mother gave me that courage, even though she couldn't use it herself. She left me a key to a safety deposit box, and inside that box was the power to rewrite my entire life. I didn't use it for revenge. I used it for justice. And there's a difference. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If this story meant something to you, subscribe to Family Secret TV, hit the bell, and leave a comment telling me your story. Because we all deserve to be seen. We all deserve to belong. And we all deserve the truth. Until next time.